My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps. My co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and bad movies of yesteryear. Now, Chris, it was that time of the month again where we put out a Twitter poll to see, of a certain genre, what are we actually going to review? And how did the voting go?
Well, we decided, didn't we, at the back end of last week's episode that we were going to do a sports title, which I sort of threw on you as we were talking with no planning or no discussion. So we had a list there of 4, but there was only going to be one winner. I mean, I was hoping for Mean Machine, but this one is one of my favourite movies as well of all time. And it's Rocky IV, Dave. And it didn't just win, it won by quite a lot. So I don't think anybody can complain. And all we kept getting was people sending the gifts of like, if he dies, he dies, and all this. So it's one of them movies that I think most people our age and have seen. It's just, especially Rocky IV. Rocky IV has an absolute cult following, done it over any of the Rocky films, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, and what are your early memories of this one?
Well, I mean, literally watch it when it first came out. I never watched it at the cinema. I've said it many times, Rocky 3 is my personal favourite, but Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, and we talked about this off the podcast yesterday, is they have like the Vaseline effects of like the way it is. It's proper glitzed up. Rocky 1 and 2 are very gritty, very dark, dull of its time. But then when you get into the 80s, this is like pure mid-80s. And Stallone is in his absolute physical peak here. His body is absolutely, I think he's got like 3 or 4% body fat in this. And I remember being in awe as a kid, and I've rented it out from the video shop at fucking numerous times, Dave. I mean, I've owned it since like the 90s. I've owned about 2 or 3 different video variations. I've got Rocky on DVDs. I've got, like, at the moment, I've got the Rocky Balboa Sylvester Stallone Blu-ray special edition. It's like an 8-disc thing, so you get like all the 6 films that he did as Rocky, and then you got all the extras. So I have watched this numerous, and you know how much I love Rocky, Dave. It's synonymous. However, Rocky 3 just pips this as one of my specials. But I was always in awe of Dolph Lundgren in this because he's just fucking an absolute unit. So what about yourself, Dave?
He's a man mountain, isn't he? So this is one that I did see at the cinema. I think I said before, I think it was our first episode, wasn't it, when we covered Rocky 3. Rocky was in and around our family all the time because, I had uncles who boxed. So I used to go down the local club and watch my uncles box and stuff, and they were just obsessed, and it was just always the first kind of go-to movie to put on that wasn't Star Wars or Superman. So yeah, absolutely loved it though. I don't think I saw 3 at the cinema. Memories failing me a little bit there, but I definitely saw this one, and I just remember just being in awe. I mean, this runs at just over an hour and a half, doesn't it? So it's quite a short movie. It's very tight, and critically it gets a bit of a pounding because it is so damn predictable. These millennials, they won't get the fact, they won't understand what the Cold War was, but this was the mid-80s and kind of I don't know quite when the height of it was, but it was definitely in amongst it. You couldn't really see an end at that time. And the idea, that you had this man mountain going up against Rocky, I just always takes me back to when I first watched it. And so I quite often say when I have to put my cards on the table and say, I can't be like an objective critic about this. The nostalgia is just going to take me away with this one, Chris. And I think my order of Rocky films is probably different to yours, but just in terms of the soundtrack and, the fact that Drago is the biggest, baddest that Rocky had faced. I mean, Dolph Lundgren, he's like twice the size of Sylvester Stallone, it seems, doesn't he? But yeah, and like the slight twist. We'd seen Apollo Creed from that first Rocky movie. We'd been through 3 movies with him, and the way he got offed, obviously, spoilers. I just think it was lots of drama. It wasn't necessarily predictable for me as a kid. But you know what? I don't watch a Rocky film for a, M. Night Shyamalan style twist, and some intricate plotting. I watch it for the fucking montages, Chris. A bit of boxing
Yeah,
and a bit of music. Give me
yeah.
all those things, and I'm as happy as a pig in shit.
Well, we don't smell like it, Dave. But
Hey,
but no,
lockdown.
well, interesting though you say that. When you look at the reviews as well, like I'm the same. Nostalgia kicks in with this, and I do think when I watch it now, and I've watched it loads of times. I've only watched it a few months ago as well. I watched it again this week. It genuinely doesn't really have much of a story, as in, yes, it's a revenge mission because what happened to Apollo Creed, but everything moves along. There's none, like in Rocky 1 and 2, you get them like shit filler scenes where in Rocky 1, where he takes fucking Adrian ice skating, or they're having like Thanksgiving at Paulie's and he's being a fucking dick to Adrian and stuff, and all that. And you've got like these different things. There's Rocky 1, even though it was the one that got like the most awards, nominations and all that, it just never hits with me. I love the glitz and glamour of like 3 and 4, and I love 5. I do love 5, Dave. I'd probably say 5 and 4, maybe 5 edges it. Everyone hates 5, but I love Rocky 5. And then Rocky Balboa's not a bad film. That's probably this on a par with the first one, really. But the second one's a good film as well. That's when it starts turning a little bit as he gets his money in that. But this, as a property, 40% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah.
people slating it 2 out of 5. It's shit. It's the final legs in the Rocky series, and I'm paraphrasing there, but it's like Rocky's just copied the same format from the first 3 films. It's like, no, he didn't. The first 3 films are completely different movies to each other. The third and fourth are pretty similar. Mr. T, he's just been inserted as Ivan Drago, basically. Clubber Lang. It's pretty much the same beat, really.
It's a hero's journey, isn't it? That's
Exactly.
3 and actually 2, 3, and 4 are pretty much a hero's journey. I guess in 3, it was his own personal self doubt, wasn't it? He'd been the champ,
Yeah.
he'd been knocked off his perch, and then he's sort of questioning, well, were all these fights just handpicked, and so I think there's a slightly stronger story here. What knocks him down is just obviously the death of his best friend, but that's the thing that's challenging our hero, and then he kind of overcomes it at the end. So yeah, it is all classic kind of hero's journey stuff. But you know what, I I remember, Chris, years and years ago, it was a bit of graffiti on some public toilets, and like, it was at the university, and someone had wrote, some arty type had obviously wrote, the objective of art is to evoke a reaction, and someone had wrote underneath, fuck off. Which I thought was pretty funny because it did evoke a reaction clearly. So I don't know if that first bit was art, and I don't know why it just stuck in my mind. But I thought that's an interesting way to think about it. Art is to evoke a reaction. So the fact that this is predictable as hell, especially when you consider the Cold War setting that it was sort of written and filmed in. I don't care, just whether it's the music, whether it's, the montages, whether it's, the fight at the end, I can't help it. The goosebumps are up on my arm. So it evokes a reaction in me. And so, does that make it a poor movie? No, it doesn't. I mean, the fact that, like you say, the critics give it 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. The audience score, though, is 79%. I think that tells you all you need to know about, people love this movie, just the critics don't, because it
Yes.
doesn't fit into that. It's not, there's not anything clever about it. There's nothing innovative or new, but it's just fucking great.
And also, and you say that about, and it is great. And what you're saying there about the audience, Dave, for 24 years, this movie was the highest grossing sports movie until it was beaten by the fucking Blind Side, Sandra Bullock. But it was, 24 years, 2009, before it got beat at the thing. What the hell could you even get anywhere near you know, that is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I do think as well, there's a few things I do want to touch on about Rocky's character himself when we get into review in a sec. But as an entity, it's just a phenomenon, Rocky 4. It really is.
Yeah, and I know you're not going to like this one, Chris, but again, in terms of the influence on pop culture, so my mate and your hatred figure probably, but Jurgen Klopp, manager of Liverpool, you know, quite often he'll use an example about Rocky, you know, and in particular Rocky 4, and he was telling a story about when I think he was manager of, it was either Mainz or Dortmund, and he was talking to the team and he was saying about, you know, we're still Rocky Balboa, you know, those guys are Ivan Drago. He did use it for Liverpool again in the last year, but he was telling this story about when he was in Germany, and then he suddenly realised, he looked around and how young everyone was. He was like, "Does anyone know what I'm talking about?" And they're like, "No."
So he's hyped up, and the rest of the team are like, "What is he talking about?" Yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
So it's like, I'm fucking 20 years old, boss. Who the fuck are you talking about,
Well,
Rocky? You know?
You know what, Dave? You say that because I think Jurgen Klopp's probably a couple of years older than me and you, innit? But I had it on last night. Now, Jordan grew up watching Rocky. She had no choice but to watch all the. She sat there as a baby, even up to probably 9, 10 years old. She used to sit there and watch the Rockies with me. She used to watch like Back to the Futures. I've had her watching the A-Team. She used to watch that every single night, the A-Team, when she was a baby. We used to come in and have like an hour wrestling when I come in from work, and she'd kick the shit out of me when she was the toddler and stuff. But obviously, we sat there yesterday and she comes in. She very rarely sits when I'm watching it. Full blast. Sam's in the kitchen cooking. And she comes in and she went, "What are you watching?" And I went, "What?" She went, "Is it Smoking the Bandit?" I went,
Oh.
I just looked, I went, "Get out."
Yeah.
Like, she went, "What?" I went, "Get out." I said, "I'll have a word with your mother." She's like, "What are you I mean, she's obviously 19. She's an adult. She's like, "What are you She never swears, George." She's like, "What are you talking about?" I went, "Fucking Smoking the Bandit." I said, "Does it look like Burt Reynolds?" "Well, I don't know." I was proper offended, Dave. I was like, "Get out." Like, and then she's like, "Mum, he's just told me to get out." And he said, I didn't know what we was watching. And Sam said, "She's just said, is he Smoking the Bandit?" And Sam's pissing herself. And I was getting proper annoyed. Like, "Get out." Go and educate yourself. You know,
Yeah. I
but,
mean,
you're right.
It's hard
similar.
though, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, Chris, it was 35 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, we sometimes I think it's, even though it's had this massive impact on pop culture, it's probably going to die out with with our generation, to be honest. Because I don't think it's. I mean, my kids have watched it, to be honest, but and they enjoyed it as well. But it doesn't quite have the significant impact that it does on us. Especially, I think, if you're watching it without a knowledge of what the hell the Cold War was and what it was like to be kind of growing up around that time. I think a lot of the subtext, you know, the East versus West, you know, US versus U.S.S.R, a lot of that is lost, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It really goes. Now, Dave, come on. Let's get into the review.
Nice.
Today, the Soviet Union has officially entered professional boxing.
This is not just an exhibition fight. This is us against them.
He would like to compete against anyone who is qualified.
Drago is the most perfectly trained athlete ever. Whatever he hits, he destroys. He could have stopped the fight. He could have saved his best friend's life.
I'll never forget you, Apollo.
But now, the one thing he can't do is walk away.
Has the fight date been set yet?
December 25th.
Where?
It's in Russia.
Are you nuts?
Miss Balboa, when will you be going to Russia?
I'm not going to Russia. I don't know what you're talking about.
He's had one professional fight, and one man is dead.
Tabibi, he's going to have to kill me.
Why can't you change your thinking?
Because I'm a fighter.
You can't win!
Rocky IV.
Now we start off, Chris, as a lot of the Rocky franchise does, with a look back at Rocky 3. So we get the end, we get a bit of an appearance of Mr. T, so Clubber Lang. We get to see Rocky sort of win the fight against him, and then we get the old rematch between Apollo Creed, and we get the old ding, ding. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a TV show, isn't it? I'd kind of forgotten that like each of the series basically replays the last few things that happened in the previous movie, and it's something you don't see nowadays, is it?
No, and I love that about them because also, Dave, I think from an actor's point of view, they actually get the credit as well. I think Mr. T,
Oh, nice.
he's is at the start and stuff like that. So again, but I think like the fantasy side of it as well, Dave. Playing, I had the computer games, all different versions of Rocky, and it was the fact that Mr. T could fight Ivan Drago,
Yeah.
and he'd be like, "Go on," when all Apollo Creed and Rocky were pretty much the same, but the two baddies could fight each other, and I'd always try and make Mr. T win. Even though Ivan Drago was literally indestructible on any fucking
Yeah.
Rocky game I've ever played. But
I do remember that game. Played that quite a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did a lot, hell of a lot. But no, it starts off great. Like you say, we get the full rerun of Rocky 3, the title literally goes straight from Rocky 3 just straight into it. There's no real time lapse, is there? He's got this wonderful life. It shows the ding ding bit. It's Paulie's birthday. We'd actually get the robot, Dave.
The
Now, I didn't
robot.
know this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the robot was made by International Robotics in New York, and it was their CEO who actually did the voice. But James Brown toured with that robot in the 80s,
Oh, really?
Dave. And that's why it was written into the movies. But it also helped Stallone's autistic son as well. With learning difficulties and that. So it was just genuinely was a robot. It wasn't a fake thing like a Star Wars. It was a genuine thing. And obviously it helps Stallone's young son as well. So I found that absolutely fascinating, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still slightly perplexed by it. I'm still like, right, it's a fucking robot. What's all that about? I don't quite get it. Is it to show like how ostentatious he is now? He's got so much money. He's got a freaking robot, doing chores around the house or something. I remember at the time I was like, well, that's a bit weird, isn't it? And I still don't get it.
Well, I mean, I always watch Short Circuit. Johnny Five's Alive. I used to love that with Steve Guttenberg, the first one. But great film. We'll have to do that at some point.
Yeah,
Dave.
definitely.
But I've got to say that I have always had a wonder what the fuck Polly may have been sticking in his robot when she's like, "Well, I love you, you're the best." And I'm like, "Oh dear, what circuitry have you been doing, son?" But it is a bizarre thing. It makes sense that he shoehorned it into the film because if Paulie wants like a fucking Ferrari or Lamborghini, doesn't he? Gets him a fucking robot. But again, Rocky's got all the Adidas gear on, the Boss gear on, and obviously when Apollo fights, they've got like these proper snazzy. The only thing that ever pisses me off, especially in the fourth one, is, and the third one to an extent, which is addressed when like Paulie has a pop at him at the start of the third one and starts throwing punches after he's been got out of jail, bailed out of jail, is Rocky's character is just completely 180s. He completely changes from this sort of not thick, but he's obviously he's a bit like slow on the uptake on things, and the way he speaks is dead slow and all that. But in 3 and 4, especially in 4, he's like dead. Obviously, it's Stallone being himself, but he's so like different the way he talks and everything. There's not like anything in this movie where you think he's the same character from the first two. And as he gets older and he's had more fights, you think he'd get worse, but he gets stinging until he gets to the fifth one. When obviously it's supposed to be about like the brain damage thing with Ivan Drago in this. But I always find it a struggle how sophisticated Rocky is in 3 and 4. And I know that's the premise of him fighting Mr. T because he's become too much of a soft ass and that's why he gets beat. But it just never rang true with me the way his character in 3 and 4, even though I love both their movies, was completely different from the original stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen 3 and 4 more than any other in the series. And I watched the first Rocky even before we started this podcast, Chris. I think it wasn't last year. I think it was the year before, and it took me back a bit, like how kind of slurry he was. It was really difficult, at times to just understand what the hell he was talking about. But he was just that local thug, wasn't he? Local muscle, to sort of
Yeah.
shake people down and what have you. So yeah, he does seem to get a bit more articulate in this. His life's clearly on the up. He's making loads of money. He's planning to retire after he won his belt back against Clubber Lang. And so yeah, I kind of see what you mean, but I don't know. I forgive it all that.
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't make and I'm with you. It doesn't make a fucking iota worth of difference to the movie. It's still an absolute classic. It's just you think about Rocky 2, where he's trying to do adverts and he's got problems with his eye, and Mickey slaps him and all that before he says he wants a rematch, and then the next minute he can't even read an auto cue, and then all of a sudden he's like this fucking well-spoken guy. It's difficult to believe his character has changed that. But anyway, that's just me nitpicking because I can't really find anything wrong with this movie, Dave. It's just something that always narks me. But when you get obviously Apollo 5 years later coming down, coming. So if it's 5 years later, we're realistically saying it's about 2 years after Rocky 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at, because I think Rocky 3 was about 3 years, 2 years after their second fight.
Yeah.
You've got, because obviously it shows Donny this run he goes on in Rocky 3 where he's beating all these fucking no marks that were handpicked. So all right, 5 years down the line, he's still in great shape. The Russian comes, doesn't he? And he's like, we're going to beat them, and it sparks something. But one thing I found really, really interesting, and I fucking love, Dave, when they have the press conference. The Rocky press conferences are like a wrestling press conference, aren't they? He's giving him shit, and Bridget Nielsen's like, yes, he will be a great victory. Apollo Creed is well respected, I think, but he'll be a great. And he, whoa, get that. Yeah, what's he say? Get that body by whatever he says. The bag of bone. I'm gonna whip him. You don't think? And he's so Muhammad Ali, but also WWE type. The hype. I love the way they do that.
Yeah, no, it's good fun that, and because it's almost what happens in the fight, isn't it? Because Apollo Creed's giving it all the mouth at the start, and then it's only when the Russian, I don't know if he's a general or something, he starts biting back a bit, and they're like, you're the aggressor, no, you're the aggressor, and it all sort of escalates from there. But as it finishes off, kind of Rocky and Apollo are walking off, and he's like, "Did that look good? Did that look good?" So you get the feeling he's still the showman, Apollo, isn't he? But yeah, it was good. And again, a lot of the stuff in this movie it's got the sophistication of a sledgehammer, hasn't it? Just there's nothing subtle about it, And I just think for me that's part of its charm. It's not trying to be clever. It's just like, look, this is the big Russian. Powerhouse, he's the next stage in human evolution is how he's kind of built up by his own people, and the fact that none of them are actually Russian. You've got Swede there and Dolph Lundgren. You got Bridget Nielsen, haven't you? Stallone's future wife, soon to be ex-wife.
Yeah.
Very a couple of years later, from Denmark, and then I think most of the rest of them were Americans just putting on Rusky accents. So it's quite amusing, but. No, I think I think it was good. It set the fight up well, and so Rocky agrees. He'll train Apollo, but he's just not taking it seriously, is he? Rocky says, maybe put it off for a few weeks. We don't know anything about this guy. I don't actually think there were any Russian professional boxers during the Cold War, Chris. I mean, you've had a few in recent years, haven't you? Like the Klitschko's. Oh, they're Ukrainian, aren't they? Well, it would have been U.S.S.R. at the time. So yeah, I think it sets up this first fight pretty well. And, I must admit, I've not watched this probably, did I watch it last year? Maybe the year before that. But as soon as James Brown comes on with that music, Living to America, I'm up, Chris. I'm boogieing around the front room. I can't help it. Even though I know what's coming, you just can't help but feel good when that's, when you got Apollo coming down and he's doing the boogie and everything. This is all just an exhibition fight, so it's a bit of fun, a bit of a laugh and that. And it just feels good, even though I know the impending doom that's about to come.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because that whole segment, it's in Vegas as well. I fucking love it. But what I didn't realise, Dave, and this is purely just researching this, you may have read it yourself, is the fact that Dolph Lundgren caused a lot of accidents filming this.
Yeah.
And to the point when he throws Carl Weathers, Apollo, into the corner, literally just before he kills him, that was a genuine throw where he was hurting him, and Weathers stormed off the set for 4 days. He was giving Dolph Lundgren loads of shit, and like, I'm going to call me agent, and Stallone had to step in and like a mediator to get the film finished because Weathers just didn't want to work with him.
Yeah, I did see that one. A whole 4 days, you've got all the cameramen, all the crew, and everything just standing around, and trying to talk Weathers down off the ledge. But I think it was similar to it was Van Damme, wasn't it? In No Retreat, No Surrender. He just wasn't pulling his punches or kicks or anything, and people get a bit upset by it. So I think it's not that surprising. And the only thing, I said it to you before, Chris, the only thing is that no one knows in the Rocky series how to block, or put their arms up. But a lot of the punches do look like they have some, they are quite visceral, aren't they? So, it's not that surprising that a lot of them connected.
Yeah, I don't know whether the Apollo and Ivan Drago ones did, but I know for a fact the Rocky and Drago ones, that was just proper sparring, a lot of it, Dave, because Stallone actually ended up in intensive care, didn't he, for 8 days because he smacked him in his breastbone and made his heart swell. I've known that for years. I mean, you probably have yourself. And he was in intensive care for 8 days. And he still says that Dolph Lundgren had the ability to be a heavyweight title contender. So, without a doubt, Lundgren played it absolutely to a T. He was just a horrible menace of a man, wasn't he? 6'5" to Stallone's 5'8". It's not even the same weight, is it? Really?
Isn't he? He's a black belt in
like...
karate, So I mean, he can handle himself for sure. And I think I'm trying to think back now. Wasn't the doctor sort of questioning Stallone and was saying like, no, you've got this from a car accident. It's more similar to an injury we see in a car crash victim. And he's like, have you seen Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah.
He's just a beast, wasn't he? And again, when you get to that fight at the end, you just see the size difference. And as the old Ruski general was saying, it's just physics. In real life, there's no way Rocky's winning that fight.
No, there's not. Not at all. It wouldn't even be in the same weight division, would we? I said to you, it's a stretch in Rocky 3 when they're like, he's 202 pounds. And then when he fights Clubber Lang the second time, he's 191. It's like, there's no fucking weight. He's not even the size of a middleweight, is he?
Well, I think they're... but you can... If you want, didn't Evander Holyfield? He started off kind of a lower weight and then moved up. So I think
he was the cruiserweight.
Yeah, I think you can voluntarily kind of move up, even without being that heavy. It's more the overweight that they're more conscious of. And when you get to the heavyweight, don't matter how big you are. You got, in the next one, Chris, you got old Butterbean, haven't you? I think he probably had a few pounds.
Oh, fucking hell, Dave. Yeah, he had a good right hand him as well. He was a fucking, remember Butterbean, God. But no, you're right. I mean, what's interesting with this movie about pop culture and the VHS Strikes Back is there's so many iconic lines, but they're not all said. None of them are said by Rocky. You've got Dolph Lundgren, and if he dies, he dies. But the fucking general, he's like, coach guys like it, whatever he hits, he destroys. You know what I mean? It's like there's loads of one-liners that to this day, if he dies, he dies is the one probably everybody remembers Rocky for. If you say that to anybody at a party, someone's going to do the same line or say something about the film.
What comes into my mind more so than that, if he dies, he dies, is I must break you.
Yeah,
I think for me that's slightly ahead of if he dies, he dies.
But there is a point in this movie. So obviously Apollo gets the whipping of his life. The sound effects of the punches are just fucking horrendous. It's like a fucking shotgun's going off every time they hit someone. But Apollo gets absolutely mullered and gets killed. And it always gets me. It's like when Tony, Apollo's coach, is going, throw in a goddamn towel, he's crying, and Rocky holds it. I'm always thinking the family should have been like, but obviously he told him even when he was going to throw it in and he looks over his shoulder, doesn't he, and goes, no. It's like his last thing he says, Apollo, before he gets fucking killed. And it's just like he's there at the graveside, and I'm thinking his family must have been like, you fucking bastard, But it was his wish, wasn't it?
You know what, Chris? Like I say, the last time I watched it before this time, I remember thinking exactly that. I was thinking, Rocky, you are at fault there. It doesn't matter what the boxer asks you to do. His life is in your hands, and you failed him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know whether Ivan Drago would have stopped anyway, but he could have thrown it in earlier. A lot. I mean, it wouldn't have been the film, would it, Dave?
Right,
Really, if he'd fucking
obviously, yeah.
survived.
But again,
But
like you say, maybe it was. I think it made Rocky look a bit of a douchebag in that moment. To be honest, I'd never
yeah,
noticed it when I was a kid, but just watching it as an adult now, I was thinking, he should have really thrown in that towel. Now it could have been easy way to fix that. He throws in the towel. Drago Drago either ignores it or doesn't see it. Referee doesn't get there in the time. He still makes a connection with that left hand, which is weird, Chris, because one of the things I noticed about Dolph Lundgren, he does like that right hand, doesn't he? I noticed
fucking
there was
hell.
no
Yeah.
jabs. Everything was a massive sledgehammer.
Yeah, he's got it cocked up. I can see it now, cocked up. He's got his left hand out like a bit of a Conor McGregor type thing, and his right hand he's cocked next to his fucking chin, ready to say,
Yeah.
"You're gonna get this in a minute, son."
Yeah,
Oh, it's a great
it's
fucking
basically
a
got a
great film
postage
punch.
stamp on it, hasn't it? Each one.
Yeah, yeah, he has, and obviously they go to Russia then, don't they? She doesn't know Adrian, and she's like, "Why do you want to do it?" It's like, "I'm a fighter," and she's like, "You're going to get killed and all this," and it's on Christmas Day, another moment. And when he goes to Russia training, it's fucking great. Because obviously we then see the fact that Drago is taking steroids, which there's no way he couldn't be. And the training's just exactly the same. And whatever Rocky does, he does, but he does it in the gym, doesn't he? In like this proper facility, and the running. I mean, he grows a beard, everything. I love all that. The music's fucking great because that whole montage he's done over one song, pretty much his whole training, other than when Adrian turns up. He's done over that bit, and then the bit where he gets on top of the mountain, Drago. But it's fucking ace. It's so good. And you were saying about the voices. The guy who is his chaperone sounds like the fucking Drago's coach. Whatever he destroys, like, "I'm going to be your chaperone," and he just sounds like just sounds American or about as shit as my accent was just then.
Yeah, but I mean, again, just the music, it's so good, isn't it? I mean, straight from the off, with those opening credits, and we didn't mention that, did we? You've got the American boxing glove and the USSR, the Soviet Union boxing glove, smashing together. You've got Burning Heart blasting out straight away. You've got a bit of Hearts on Fire. You got the Rocky montage music when he's going through in his head, and he's after Apollo's died. You've got No Easy Way Out. It's just one cheesy, the kind of Rocky style music clip after the other, and it's just fantastic. And that, again, when he's going back to basics, and you've got Ivan Drago in his training with all the latest equipment. It's not just the steroids; they are pushing him to the absolute max. All of the science behind him and all of the technological equipment, Rocky's cut it all down to basics. And when he's doing the I can't remember the chap's name, the Apollo's old trainer, and he's doing the sit-ups, where he's just basically balancing on his shoulder and neck. And he's like, "No pain, no pain." Just, Chris, I defy anyone to watch that and not get goosebumps.
Yeah, it's fucking messed. It's the best. It's just everything. I'm getting it now, Dave. I'm absolutely getting it now. And this in the Rocky films, I think because, and you might be the same, because I have such a deep connection with the character and the sort of down and out, and and you think you've got nothing left, but you've got to find something and all that. But when he fights him, I love the bit at the start with Polly when they're walking out, and he went, and it always gets me like a bit of lump in the throat. He goes, if you ever could get out of my body and be someone else, and be you, you're all heart rock and all that. And it always gets me. But then the next minute he gets in the ring and sees Dolph Lundgren on Ivan Drago and goes, "You know what I said before? Forget it." It's to say, fucking, you're on your own, son. But it's a good bit of comedy from Paulie, because what I love is the first 2 rounds he gets fucking hammered. It's ridiculous. There's no way that any fight would have gone on. Like you said, there's no such thing as a defense in the Rocky movies. Them jabs that he's throwing Drago are like fucking cannonballs or bowling balls thrown at your head. They're just unrealistic.
But he approached Drago approached the 2 fights in completely different ways, didn't he? So Apollo, he was quite standoffish. Dolph Lundgren sort of had the stance of a boxer, but he was, apart from the guard, but he was taking a few hits. Whereas this one, it's as if someone said like, "Ivan, look, you've got one round. You need to finish this off because there's no other rounds. And he just went hell for leather, didn't he? And like you say, coming at Rocky with those sledgehammers, and Stallone's got his bloody arms down and just taking every massive sledgehammer to the face. There's no way anyone would put up with that. But no, again, utterly ridiculous, completely unbelievable. We're still loving it.
I'm loving it. And again, Dave, there's another lump in the throat moment for me. End of the second round gets me every time. I can put this on. If I'm doing one of my YouTube meanders, I always put that on. If I want to motivate myself, I can go with Rocky 3 when Adrian gives him a bollocking on the beach. And he's like, I'm scared. And she's like, so what? And I love that. And the music kicks in and he starts training for Apollo. That'll proper get me going, that. But it's also the bit with Tony when he's been fucking hammered. And eventually... they're talking away and he goes, he's cut him, Annie, and he goes, the Russians cut, and he starts kicking the shit out of him, then punching him, and then they get into the corner and he's like, I see 3 of them. And he goes, and Paulie goes, hit the one in the middle, and he's like, yeah, hit the one, and he just says to me, goes, see, he's not a machine, he's a man. And I love that bit, Dave. Oh, fucking, I don't know what it is about that, but that's like, if you ever want your motivation to start training, to go and kick someone's fucking head in, Dave, even if they're twice the size of you might get beat up, but listen to that bit. It'll make you run through a brick wall. I love it. Absolutely love it.
No, it is. It's absolutely brilliant, isn't it? And I did like that line. I mean, it has been used in the past. It wasn't something written for the film, hit the one in the middle. Apparently, plenty of people have used that in the past. I remember there's a story about Bill Shankly years and years ago. So one of the, and this is how different life is now, but with concussion and whatever. And there were no substitutes back then. And one of the players got concussed and was completely knocked out. Shankly walks over and he's like, what's the score? How is he like? And he says, oh, it's no good, boss. He doesn't know he doesn't know who he is. He says, well, tell him he's Pele and get him back out there.
I've heard that one before, actually. It's a good one. I forgot that one. That's a very good one. But also, Dave, we've had 2 references to Liverpool today.
I thought while I was touching on it, I thought I'd get another jab right in there.
Well, we've only got 2 more weeks, and I'm going to get loads of jabs off you. So let's not go there. But no, I mean, like you say, the fighting is unfucking believable, unbelievably ridiculous. But I love it. I love all about. I love it. Like when you're in the corner, like the 10th, 11th round, and Rocky looks around the side of his trainers, and he does the same, and you can see there's a respect being garnered from him because, in some respects, Apollo is played like a bad guy slightly, isn't he? A little bit of a bad guy the way it goes down. He's not completely innocent. The way that fight's set up, he goes like what he did with Rocky in Rocky 2 when they say to him, like, you're going to go after him, you're going to have to be the bad guy. And that's what he does to get Rocky to come out of retirement. But in this one, it's not nice that he died, I know that. But by the end of it, it's almost as if they're fucking mates, because he picks up his trainer, doesn't he, Lord Flunger, and he's like, he throws him and he's having a go at that guy who looks like Gorbachev. Who actually was Gorbachev in the Naked Gun films as well,
really?
Dave.
He does have a Gorbachev look about him, doesn't he?
And you were saying, and look, I've just got this off Wikipedia and other things, so I'm not like I'm some aficionado on the music, but I'd never realised that Bill Conti had not done the music for this one. And it was a different guy. I think he did Vince DiCola, but obviously Bill Conti's works in there, Fly Now and that. But what was interesting was they were talking about, I'd always thought that, what's that song called? By Europe's song,
Final Countdown?
Final Countdown. It was never that song, was it? It was actually DeCola's training montage music, but it sounds like a Final Countdown, which come out after this movie. But then there's another guy who done a song, Glory of Love, by Peter Cetera. And this was supposed to be before Rocky 4, but it got binned off. And they said they used it for the theme of Karate Kid 2. And you're like, and there's similarities, isn't there? There's been a few times where some of the music's moved over to the Karate Kid. It should have been in Rocky. Rocky 3 was the same. But just daft little snippets to do with the movie's amazing. But as a film, Dave, he ends up beating Drago at the end, finally chops the tree down, doesn't he? It's like he's fucking got an axe chopping a massive tree for days on end. He chops him down and beats him. And it's just the only thing of this movie that always pisses me off is that end bit.
Yeah.
When he gets on the fucking mic and all the Russians are cheering for him. There's no way that'd happen. He's like, you, me, everybody, and it's like, oh, come on, you know. It's
I think
like,
you've got to mix up with the Blues Brothers there.
Blues Brothers, yeah.
Everybody.
If I can change, yeah, you can change. Everybody can change. Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah,
It
Probably
goes.
really better if some.
I mean, it's patriotism gone mad, isn't it? I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that so it's obviously the fights in Russia and everything, and he doesn't just take down Drago. He does it. He goes whatever it is, 11, 12 rounds or whatever. So he goes quite a long way. So everyone starts singing for Rocky, and I think that's when Drago picks up, that general or his trainer or whatever. He just lifts him up with one arm, doesn't he? Throws him. I fight for me. It's just completely ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, it takes that patriotism. It's like watching a Chuck Norris Vietnam movie, or something like that. It's just completely ridiculous. And I must admit, I was thinking to myself this time, it's like, oh, come on. It's a little bit cringe, isn't it?
Yeah, because look, I'm going to give another fucking reference to your shitty team here, Dave, Liverpool.
That trick.
It's like Liverpool coming to Old Trafford, and I was there when Liverpool beat us 3-0, 3-1 a couple of years ago, and I think Van Gaal was on his way out, and you absolutely played us off the park. And all we did was just sing and sing and sing because we were so shit. We'd just gone completely downhill, But we would never, ever clap fucking yous off off Old Trafford, just like yous lot. And if we played you off the park at Anfield, there's not a kind else chance that your fans would stand up and fucking clap us off, because we hate each other. When it comes to me and you are such good friends, but when it comes to football, we are so fucking opposite. It's unbelievable. But that's what makes a good friendship, doesn't it? Opposites. And when it comes to football, luckily we're not as bad with each other as some people I know who I can be terrible with when I get into football debates, but we're not like that. We're quite measured when we talk and stuff. But there's no way you'd be at Anfield clapping United off there. Not even if you'd seen him, you'd go home and go, you know what, they played us off the park. When Liverpool played us off the park, I was like, we're fucking so far behind. But there's not one way I was standing up cheering for Suarez scoring the third goal and all that. It's just like, it's like hell on earth, isn't it, for both of us when you're biggest. So there's no way that'd ever happen, ever. But that's probably one of the reasons he got marked down, because there's no way them fans would turn on Drago like that. Not a chance.
No. And I think, to explore that analogy a bit more, I think that there have been players where, you just can't help but respect them. A couple of players come to mind. So someone like Scholes, I mean, I guess some fans probably hated him, but, he was such a classy player. The likes of Beckham, the best you're going to get is silence. If fucking Beckham rattled in a 30-yard free kick or something against you, the best you get is silence. Or, that's it. No one's going to start going Beckham, from the Liverpool end. So, it is a good analogy, Chris, because there's no way that Russian crowd will be singing for Rocky. I don't care how kind of into the sport they are. They're not neutrals. It's their home ground. It's their home fighter. Yeah, utter bollocks. That is the one criticism. But what I'd say is, again, this is in the context of being in the Cold War. This is 85, wasn't it? So no one really saw an end to that at the time. So I guess to have a bit of a Hollywood ending, kind of, a sickly sweet look at how life could be, I suppose I can kind of forgive it for that, for being a bit hopeful and a bit ridiculous and optimistic.
Yeah, I agree. And also, the whole thing at the end is supposed to be like the crumbling of the Soviet Union, Dave, and it actually had quite a big effect on people in Russia as well, which is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that can do that. But anyway, if anyone can do it, Dave, fucking Rocky can. So shall we get into our review?
Let's go.
Right, Dave, I'll go first on this one. I think it's a clean sweep on this. This is one of my favourite ever movies. Like I say, Smokey and the Bandit's my top, but the Rocky movies are up there without a fucking doubt, Dave. Top 10 without a doubt. My top 10 has about 50 films in, by the way, everyone, as you know. So Rocky 4 is still, Rocky 3 is my best. Rocky 4's there with Rocky 5. but he's still fucking amazing. It brought so many pop culture references. Rocky's at the peak of his fucking powers. He's an absolute animal. Some of the lines, lump in the throat stuff, even when Apollo dies, it's still sad to watch it even now, even though for the millionth time what's going to happen. There's still that thing. I was seeing the lads who work with rang me yesterday asking me for some work, and I'm like, look, Rocky, he's in the corner of Apollo Creed. He might win this time. And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. And then I'm singing the songs, and they're like, we're asking you about work. I'm like, I know, yeah, but let me just finish this song. And they were going mad, right? So, and anyway, then they're texting me them pictures of fucking Mr. T and fucking Drago and that. But yeah, as a spectacle, it's still fucking amazing, Dave. Full blast sound plate on, absolutely booming, and punches. My fucking walls are reverberating. It's amazing. So, I'm going Cloud City, Dave. I know it isn't my favourite Rocky, but it's still head and shoulders above fucking loads of different movies. It's still absolutely brilliant. So what about yourself?
We almost need to have a little Cloud City scale for the Rocky movies, I think, don't we?
Yeah. They're all going to go Cloud City. Even well, maybe Rocky 1 might be the only one that doesn't hit Cloud City, but all the others are, Dave. Even before we review him, I'll tell you now.
Yeah, I think right. So I'll come back. I just think, again, for me, the fact that I'd watched this at the cinema, I'd seen all the previous Rocky movies leading up to that, and the fact that it was this kind of simple story that you can easily grasp as a kid. It's got all the original music, as well as some great banging new, mid 80s songs at the time. You've got this absolute man mountain. They used to call Arnold Schwarzenegger like the human special effect, and kind of in this movie, Dolph Lundgren isn't he? He's just so tall and absolutely ripped as well. So the fact that you've got this seemingly insurmountable obstacle in front of you, and he still manages to overcome it. I just absolutely love it. I think for me, if I'm going to put on a soundtrack of any one of the individual movies, I think it's this one. Even though Gonna Fly Now, it was the first one where there was no actual singing in it, was it? It's just you just get the instrumental for that. But yeah, so for me, I'm probably going to have this as my favorite Rocky movie. It's not a clever story. If you want a great story, watch the first one. Not a great story, but a good, solid story. About someone down on his luck and coming out lucky at the other end of it, or putting in a graft in to come out on top, or as that glorious loser as he was. So no, for this one, just absolutely brilliant. And all the things we've poked fun at, I just forgive it all. I just don't really care. This is Cloud City all the way. And I think this is one of those that, it's not as if I hadn't watched this for a decade or 2 decades or something. I'll periodically go back to this one, and I recognize all of its faults. I can see why critics don't give it a particularly high score. Don't care. For pure enjoyment, for pure just making you feel good, taking you on an emotional ride, especially with all that music. This is just a brilliant popcorn movie.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely fucking mega. Brilliant, Dave. Brilliant. So, Dave, we're back to my pick next week, my friend.
Well, I've got news for you, Chris. So, last episode, we talked about our Patreon that we've just launched. And I was expecting to go through a bit of a sales pitch for the next few weeks, and we've actually had one coming in already. So it was our mate, Tony. And he's come in at the Wall Street level, so the executive producer level. But I thought, well, as a kind of, as the first person, who like basically must have put one down after like 24 hours of us creating the Patreon. I don't even know we'd announced it yet. We'll bump him up a couple of levels. So for next week, we're going to go with Tony's choice. And if he can make it, we'll have him as a guest on the show. So we'll bump him up to the best of the best. So running through real quick, Chris, at the £1 level, you've got the Breakfast Club. So that's just a general support thing for the show, just helping us keep the lights on. For the Crow, the early bird, if you like, you're going to get early access to these episodes. So you'll hear them before everyone else. At the £5 level, which is Wall Street, you're the executive producer, so we'll give you a shout out on the show, and you are that executive producer for us. Then you get up to the Top Gun, so the £10 level, and you're the show producer. So not only will you be called out on the show, you'll get to or depending on how many people we've got at that level, we'll select a random Patreon at that level, and you'll select what movie is it we're going to review. And then, like I say, we've got the best of the best, which is all of the other stuff that I've just talked about, but come on the show with us as well and give us all of your memories and nostalgia and all of that stuff. So have a think about your choice, Chris, but we're still waiting at the minute. We haven't heard back. It'll be whatever Tony dictates that we do. Hopefully it's something good, because his last two choices, I think, on the comics were Speed Racer and Tank Girl.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if you've not dropped Tony a $5, because you know Eat My Dust is out there, Dave, lurking.
Oh my God. Are you? Is that what your next one is going to be, Eat My Dust?
I'm not saying.
I think it is going to be, isn't it?
Some shit coming up, Dave.
I think I'm not sure I've seen that one. What was the other one that someone put out there with? I think it was Christian Slater, was it? Learn to Drive.
The driving one. License to Drive.
License to Drive. Yeah.
Corey
Definitely
Haim
seen that one. Corey Haynes. Yep. Definitely seen that one.
I've got though, Dave. To be fair, there was a lot of. I saw someone retweet something yesterday. Remember? Have you ever seen Maximum Overdrive of Emilio Estevez, Stephen King?
Yeah.
It's a great film. So I'll have to throw that in at some point. Duel. Again, that's another great film, Stephen King. I love that one, where the guy's getting chased in the car by the truck.
And we've got all the Scottish suggestion as well to do Gregory's Girl. I've
got to do that.
Definitely seen that one. I can't remember anything about it at all, but I'm sure as soon as I put it on, I'll sort of remember it.
I watched that, and we've got Highlander we've been asked to do as well, Dave, and I love that one.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant soundtrack.
We're going to be fucked here, Dave. We're going to have to do a podcast every day. We were trying to work out, weren't we, off podcast, how many films we want to shoehorn in. Because I know, obviously, with my martial arts shit that I throw in there every now and again, that knocks a classic back. But I just love the fact knowing that you're having to watch it like you do with me. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, Scream was a good one last week. Great episode. That really, really enjoyed reviewing that. So I love the movie as well. But that's the only horror film you're ever going to get me saying that on, Dave.
I don't know. I endeavour. Still got Killer Clowns from Space to potentially watch. I know Scott was talking about that one. But yeah, guys, if you're listening and you do want to bump something up, again, just jump somewhere on that Patreon ladder. Have a look at the different levels. So patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. Have a look at through the different levels. A nice free way to support the show as well is to drop us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and that's where you get to keep all your money and then just support the show in a slightly different, cheaper way.
Yeah, if you do want to treat us to Marty McFly, then we'll send you out to Vegas. We will not be complaining, Dave. I can guarantee. Being Mr. Vegas here, and you've been to Vegas a few times, Dave, as well. And I live and breathe Las Vegas every single day watching vlogs. I know the city. I'm a tour specialist now. I've got my certificates and that. I'd be happy to take anybody out there, Dave, and show them around. And I'm sure you will, my friends. We can record at some point. What we're saying is, when we said record, we're probably going to record for 10 minutes and then spend the rest of the time partying. So
100%. Hey, Josh, can you imagine that? Maybe we should put another tier on, right? We'll get tickets for Joshua and Fury.
Yeah. That'd be a good one. Well, also, we probably will need another tier, because if we do end up ever going McFly, I would probably need about the same amount of money to pay for my divorce, Dave, as well. So that'd be nice if we could get that GoFundMe going now, or Kickstarter. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper than fucking mine then.
Good answer.
Right, Chris, it has been a lot of fun again, and I shall speak to you again soon, and next time you'll hear us, we'll be with Tony reviewing something.
Yep. Take care, everyone.
Bye now.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back. That's odd.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off. Get to the chopper! One ring to go. All right. Ding, ding. Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go.
Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on. Come on, ain't so bad. Ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid fool.
Yeah, maybe
you crazy.
But I ain't breathing heavy.
He's a fool. He's stupid. I seen you in 6 months.